everyone. How are you all doing? Welcome to another episode of Conversations with the Dreamers. I am your host, Petronella Mnenja, and I am so excited to bring this conversation to you. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Keep sharing, keep subscribing. Let's keep the conversations going. Today, we are having a conversation with a soon to be Oxford graduate, y'all. We have an Oxford graduate in the building. His name is Fide, all the way from Chiredzi to Oxford. I think we need another book. I think we need From Chiredzi to Oxford, the boy who dared to dream very, very soon. So, without further ado, Fide, welcome to Conversations with the Dreamers. I am so excited to have you today. How are you?
Wow, I'm all right. Thank you so much, Pet, for the opportunity. Actually, I was having a conversation with my friends earlier saying, I don't think you are the guest. You should be paid to the guest. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
That's good, Fide. You know what? I've been a guest enough times. It's your turn to shine.
Yeah.
And welcome. When you reached out to me, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, this person. And then you
Mm,
told me your story and how you used to watch my documentary. And I
mm,
remember I
mm,
was in a very bad space, but then it just made me smile. Because okay, he actually saw my documentary
mm.
and it inspired him in some way, and now he is in Oxford. And I'm like, this is a story. I live for stories like this. So
Yeah,
now it's your turn to tell your story. You never know who's going to watch this interview and be like, when I had you to speak, I knew I could go out Oxford as well. So that's what
excellent.
we want to do today, have that conversation with you. So let's talk. Let's start with talking about you. Who is Fidelity Ndali?
Wow. So my name is Fidelity Ndali, right? From Chiredzi, Kwandali, from Ndali is a village near Kunarenso National Park. That's where I grew up. That's
Okay.
where I did my primary, high school, and everything. And yeah, and then after O level, my uncle took me to Chiredzi town. That's where I did my advanced level at Chiredzi Christian College. And then after that, things went well, and then I went to use it. Yeah, and I did applied maths with economics. I finished my undergrads around 2023, I think around September. And then during that time, I was applying to Oxford, and I was fortunate enough to get in. So I applied to Oxford and Cambridge, and I got in both universities, got scholarships in both universities. So it's been amazing. Now we are here doing an MC in modeling for global health.
You know what? Did you? I'm going to take you back. You're not going to
Hmm.
cheat us out of the story. You were like, and things went well. What do you mean things went well? To the points, tell us what happened. You were like, things
Okay.
went well. What does that mean? It's your turn.
Wow. So,
Mhm.
sorry to catch you. So what happened was growing up in the village, we didn't know much about like universities and all those kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I later found out about university when I was, I think, second term in my Form 1. That's
Mm.
when I knew the term university. And from there, actually, we had a visiting teacher, and then he said, you are so good in maths, you can actually become an actuary. Growing up, we only knew about being a teacher, policeman, all those kind of things. And then that's when I asked, oh, I wanted to be an actuary. How do I go? And then he told me you have to get a 15 points A level, use it. And then you have to go to use it or NAS. And then yeah. So after passing my O level, and then my uncle took me to Chiredzi. So the target was to get 15 points. So when
Mm.
I said it went well, which means I got 15 points. And then but you said, you said didn't give me actual science. And then they gave me applied maths with economics. Uh, so yeah, that's the story. Then I ended up to doing applied maths with economics at UZ. The rest, it's a long story. I think you asked more question on that, but the idea was to do actual science at the beginning, and when I arrived at UZ, I wanted to switch to actual science. So every day I would go to admin trying to change, but they refused, and I ended up doing maths. And then COVID happened. That's when I started to get interested in infectious diseases.
Mm. Do
Mm.
you do you regret it though, not having done actuary?
No, not really. I think the idea was when that teacher told me that you can become an actuary. I didn't know what actuary does, and I don't even know if he knew what actual does actually, because he said, it's like mathematicians that are trying to predict when a person is going to die. Yeah, so that's what he said, and that was cool. And I wanted to do that. And I later realized when I was now at UZ that no, it's quite different. And I could do more with maths and economics. Yeah, and fortunate enough, or unfortunate enough, COVID happened. That's when I started to hear people talking about modeling and uh, yeah, then I started to realize, no, this might be the path that I want to follow.
Hmm.
Mm.
That's that's interesting, Fid. I think it's let me put in a little caveat before we continue with our conversation.
Mm.
I was like you as well. When I went to use it, I had a specific program that I wanted and I got one that I didn't want. But then people
Mm.
would always be like, no, in for a semester and then we will change. And I would
Mm.
go for
Mm.
admin every day and be like, I want this different program, I want this different program. It was only after that the first year, but not tap up. No one we end up. I might as
Mm.
well settle in and make peace with it.
Yeah.
And I look at how my life turned out, and I'm glad it happened the way it happened. I couldn't have written a better story for myself. So I'm just
Okay.
putting a little caveat in there for someone watching
Mm.
this, thinking I'm doing the degree that wasn't my first choice, I'm doing a program that wasn't my first choice, or I'm
Mm.
doing a combination that wasn't my first choice. Whatever hand that you are dealt, do it well. Whatever that you are doing, just do it well. I always say there is no competition in the world of excellence. If you do
Yeah.
well in whatever you're doing, you're going to excel. Sorry if you did to hijack your story.
No,
The
no, no, it's
motivational
okay.
speaker in me couldn't resist.
It's quite interesting actually, because I remember uh I finished my A level on, is it 2017? Then
Mhm.
2018 I applied to use it for sure science. They didn't give me. I said, no, it's all right. I have time. I'll apply again. And then I applied again in 2019 February intake. They didn't give me. Then I applied in 2019 August. They didn't give me also. So I went, that time I was in SA. Then I went to UZ in around July. I said, no, you guys are not giving me actual science. Why? They said, oh, there are too many students applying. So we've developed another program. I didn't apply for applied maths with economics. So they just developed for us. And then they gave us. They said, okay, within first few weeks or months, you can switch to actual science. So I said, oh, perfect. And the fun part now, after a few weeks from like the first few weeks of our studies, we had to do an in-class, those tests. And I saw my name around 200, and I was like, what? This is maths. I can't fail maths. I had to start reading so that next term, like next in class, I wouldn't fail. Then the situation became the same. And I ended up forgetting about natural science, then
Ah,
focusing on maths, yeah, so that's the story. But I didn't know what I wanted to do, honestly. Uh, I remember one of the time I wanted to do like fluid dynamics kind of stuff. And yeah, so it's been a long way, and I'm glad I'm here now.
I know. And it's
Mm.
it's very comforting as well for you to be able to say, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like we come from a society, equity. People will force you to know early on. You know what I mean? Like itama
Mm.
arts, itama commercials, itama sciences, doctor,
Mm.
this. Like people put us in very rigid positions. Equity,
Exactly.
you feel like you have to know everything, but sometimes you don't know what you're going to
Mm.
be,
Mm.
and that is absolutely okay. Fide, let's take the story back to Chiredzi. Talk
Yeah.
to me about your childhood. How was it like growing up in Chiredzi? How were the schools like?
Mm.
How was your primary education? Who were your role models? It's you said you didn't know, you hadn't heard about university up until you were Form 1. So just tell me about the childhood, sort of like how did you grow up? Let's go back to Chiredzi and talk about
Mm.
that childhood.
Well, I always share these stories. It's quite interesting because I didn't like school, honestly.
Mm.
So my primary level, the entire primary school, I didn't go. I would go probably last few weeks of the term just to write exams.
Mm.
Because when you don't have your report back home, it's a problem. They will beat you. So I had to find something to write each term. I didn't like school because the only thing we knew back then was you end up becoming a nurse, a teacher, and I didn't want those professions. So yeah, then from primary like grade one until grade seven, nothing, like absolutely nothing. I did nothing. And then Form 1 was the same thing, first term. Then second term, so it is Kwandali is like we didn't have a high school, so we had to go probably about 10 to 12 kilometers away. That's where we have a high school,
You
right?
walked that 10 kilometers.
Yeah. So that was the challenge. We had to go there, and but the second term, 2015, 2012, sorry, 2012, they opened a new school for Kwandali, and then we didn't have blocks. It was just like we were teaching outside, with 5 teachers. So that was the situation. Uh, we only had one room at the primary school. And then when we received this new teacher, he said, "Oh, you are so good in maths. Probably you can become an HR." That was the first time, like for everyone to know that there is like A level, not talk about university. So we had to ask him, and then started to share, "Oh, you have to go to A level, and then after A level, you have to go to university. And then there are these kind of degrees you can do, all those kind of things." And that's where everything changed. From there, I wanted to become an actuary. That's what I started to read, started to pay more attention in school. Yeah, so that's the situation back home. And after that, after O level, like I was the only person who passed all the subject. Which was not good actually when I think about it, because it was just 7 subjects, Because when you go to the seat center now, people talk about A's and they talk about subjects. I remember when I arrived at Chiredzi Christian College, coming from the village, you are like the best, you have 7 subjects. And then we had to introduce ourselves. Everyone was not saying like I have 10 subjects or 12 subjects. They would say I have 12 A's, 8 A's, those kind of things. And you only have 2 A's. So yeah, that was the like the changing of everything. I said, what? People they don't talk about subjects. They say, oh, I have these A's and these A's, and I had to work hard, like real hard, so that I can at least achieve something better. And I had support like everywhere. My uncles were there to support me, and I'm glad and that I achieved the best I could even do.
That's good. So do you have any siblings? What did your parents do growing up? Were they
Uh,
like the kind of parents that were really big on school? And your siblings, how many siblings do you
Well, so we are three,
have?
2 boys and 1 girl. So my
Mm,
parents, they worked in SA, like from since we were young until around 2022 around there.
mhm.
So they would come back home around December, So I think that was the situation where I had to at least get something at the end of the term, to present when they come back home, because they were so interested in us getting education. So they would make sure that they call teachers. I remember when I was in grade 5 or so, teachers would actually come home to pick me up because they know I wouldn't go to school, right? Yeah, so that was the situation. Like the second born, the one who's following me is actually starting university this year. And then the other one finished her high school, the last born. Yeah, they passed well. Hopefully they'll do better in university.
That's good. At least they now have you to look up to. It's easier when you
Exactly,
have a role
exactly.
model, isn't it? I think when
Mm,
you have someone ahead of you who did something, like they make it seem easier. You're like, if they
mm,
did it, certainly I could do it as well.
yeah.
And another thing that I was reflecting on as you were speaking is it's not about where you start, it's about where you end up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like we're living in a world where my little sister argued at 18 subjects. And I asked her, what is she?
Eh,
My 11 A's, my 12 A's, Mazana. You know what I mean? So
mm.
we're living in this environment where there is pressure to have 2 digits A's perform for. It's like per A level, not into 5 subjects, just to get 25 points.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
and in an environment like that, I'm not gonna go feel I didn't have my AR one, but then it's not everybody's story, you were
Mm.
okay, you did well. Nepa uri papo, you were really, really, really okay. I think it's quite
Yeah.
interesting for people to see this guy is at Oxford, akazoita 15 points, akazoenda Oxford, but
Mm.
perform for anga in 7 subjects, get a 7 A's. I think it humanizes success.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does humanize success. Kuti, it's possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about university. How was your
Yes, yeah.
experience at UZ? Did you find fitting in quite easy? How was it like for you?
Well, I think from high school, I was not like used to it. When I arrived, people were talking about A's, and at the end of high school, I was the best with 15 points. I
Mm.
thought I achieved something great. Then when I arrived at UZ, there are people with 20 points, 25 points, but I knew that. And the good thing is I wanted the idea of Oxford came early, during high
Mm.
school. So the idea was just I wanted to go to UZ, get my degree, and then go to Oxford. So the pressure of like competing and then proving that I'm the best was not uh like in the picture, I had just to make sure I get good results so that I can go to Oxford.
Mm.
But that was challenging because first of all, you didn't know what you want to do at Oxford, not to talk about it, use it, all those kind of things. So first thing I had to at least know what I wanted to do. Uh, and now I'm doing maths, I'm doing economics, which I don't know. Yes, I love maths, I love ecos, but like a career, I wasn't sure what career to pursue after that. So I remember around 2022 there, that's when I realized I wanted to do modeling. And
Mm.
the entire degree didn't have modules in that area. So I had to go to other departments to ask them to at least I can attain their modules, right? Which was challenging because I remember the department said, if you fail at least one module in your, degree, the compulsory one, you're not going to graduate. But I had no choice. I knew I wanted to come to Oxford. I knew I wanted to do this program, so I had to attend those modules. So during the day, I would go to my compulsory modules. Then
Mm.
during the night, I would start to research those other modules, uh, which was quite hectic because I had to do more than 20 modules just per semester. Yeah. So that was the challenge. And I'm just glad that I didn't fail. I passed most of them. And yeah, that was the life at Oxford, at UZ. The good thing is I had a scholarship.
Mm.
So everything was covered, school fees and accommodation. I was staying at Kwazana, and sometimes the person who was sponsoring me would pay even for me to stay at UZ. So that was quite good.
Mm. There's a lot to unpack there, and
Mm,
there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack there. I think for me, the first one is you understood that it wasn't about competition, it was about where you were going.
yeah.
That's deep. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we are so caught up in this red race where we are trying to prove that we are better than this person or we are better than this person, and then it stops being about us. And then you have people that read my distinctions or what doing having A's or doing all of those things, and it has no material value to them because avasi
Mm,
kuzviita because varoda kuzviita vari kuzviita because varoda kukunda somebody else, but you
exactly.
knew
Yeah.
kuti inini I want to do this and got Oxford. when
Mm,
when people when I tell people kuti vision grounds you, vision yako inokupa focus next time ngandokutaura zvemubhuku, but this is the
mm,
year, like practically if you
yeah.
know where you want to go with your life, it eliminates all the noise. Like haunei answer next door, haunei zviri kuitika kupi, because uri
Mm,
kuziva kwauri kuenda neupenyu hwako. And I think that's very 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 interesting, and I'm happy that you're actually crystallizing it in human
mm,
form. But if you
yeah.
know where you want to go, if you have a vision that you're pursuing, it silences the noise, it eliminates everybody else. um let's talk a little bit about, you said you had a scholarship. How did you get the scholarship? What was the name of the scholarship and what
Oh,
happened?
that's another story. So after high school, I knew that we didn't have enough fund for me to go to university. So I had to go to SA so that I can get a job, and save a little. But before that, that was 2018. We had elections and everything. So there was this guy, John Mangani. He's based here in the UK in Leeds. So he came to compete for MP insurance. And then one day he organized all the youth in saying, oh, he's offering scholarships and assistance in terms of looking for jobs outside Zimbabwe. And then we thought, no, he just wants us to vote for him, right?
Mm.
And we didn't go. After the elections were over, I thought, what if he was actually trying to help us? And then I had to start to find him.
Mm.
Unfortunately, he went back to UK after the elections. And I got his number from one of his friends in Chiredzi, and then I started to reach out to him. That was early 2018. I think April or that. I sent him a message almost every week, and then he would just blue tick me. And then I went to SA. I arrived in SA, I got a job and started to work as a security guard in Pretoria. And then I would send a message at least once a
No,
week.
wait. You worked
Uh,
as a security guard. Did you have the
yeah.
button and the gun? What did you have?
Mm. I didn't have anything. I didn't have
You
anything.
securing the premises.
Yeah, we had to patrol the entire night in Centurion, like every day. Uh, so that's the story. But I would send message to him every day, and until he responded, said, "Okay, I think you can apply to any university that will pay for your school fees and accommodation." So that's the story of scholarship. It's not like an organization or something; it's just someone sponsoring me. So yeah, that's the story. And then uh, after he said, "Okay, I'm going to sponsor everything," that's when I came from SA to UZ.
Hmm. Peter, this story is deeper than I thought. Let's unpack this. Let's go
Uh,
back. Let's go back. It's
mm,
we'll talk a little bit more about the scholarship process. Like,
yeah.
how did you decide to go to SA? Like, how where did the idea come from? Is it something that you got from the environment where people like you knew people from the community? Could see South Africa is an easy way out. How did you get to the process, and how was the process like for you? Did you have the permit? What happened? How did you go about it?
So back in Shuai, almost like every family has someone in SA, right? Not
Mm.
necessarily that they have permit or passport, they just go. Uh, so that was the situation. I told myself, all right, I just had to go. And then I went in SA. That was around, I think, April or May there. Uh, And I remember when I arrived in Bosman, I had to take a train to Soshango. And then along the train, someone was saying, "Oh, we have a vacant in our secret company," all those kind of things. I said, "Oh, I'm interested." And then I went there. I didn't have any papers, like nothing, nothing. And then I arrived in this company. We were almost about 50, like most of them they're talking about 19 years experience, with guns and everything. And I was almost like 18, 19 back then. And the fortunate part is most of these people didn't even have like education, didn't even able to write, read, in English. So when I arrived, they said, "Okay, can you assist us to fill these forms?" And then I filled all the forms for them. And then the manager saw me filling the forms, said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm looking for a job." Said, "You are hired automatically. Take the uniform and go." So that was it. And then I got the job. I got the job. So because I was young, he said, "You're not going to hold any gun, you're just going to patrol inside the premises." Yeah, so I started working. So that's the story. I worked for almost about 6 months or the until August.
Who were you staying with? Where were you sleeping? What were you eating?
So I have few relatives in Pretoria. So I was staying with one of my nephews. That's where I was staying with for I think 34 months there, and then I had to find my own place. Was it was far from where I was working, but I had to take a train from Sosha to Bosman, from Bosman to near Tembisa and Centurion. So it was like a lot of work. And the sad part is you have to wake up early, around 3 a.m. or so. And South Africa gangster stuff. So yeah, I had to relocate and stay nearby.
I know we're talking about it now and laughing, Auntie. But I'm
Mm,
sure when you were living in it, you were thinking, when is this nightmare going to end? Like, what's going to happen?
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's good that we can talk about it and laugh. So
Mm.
what did you learn from that period of your life? Like, what did that situation teach you?
Wow. Yeah. I remember having the same question on Beit Trust. And I had nothing to say because back then what I wanted was just to go to UZ and to save enough and go to school. But one thing I realized is you always have support. I remember back then, people just come because probably maybe I was young, they'll say, "Oh, why are you here? Why are you not in school?" Right? And then was for you to get a job, you have to have papers and all those kind of things. So I had to lie every day that I have papers. Even my name was not Fidelity, I was Amos something. So yeah, so every day I would try to make sure that I'm South African so that I don't get chased away with clients and everything. But they were there to support us. I remember this lady, she said, okay, if you have like metric, because they have like metric, I can sponsor you to go to school. Uh, I couldn't say, oh, I'm a Zimbabwean, I have A level. It's not possible, right? But there were people who were actually willing to help. And that's one thing I learned from there, that if you reach out, people are willing to help. Uh, yeah. So that's it. And it's always possible, just have to believe it's possible. Always work hard.
Hmm. That's that's very interesting. It's the path to success is not an easy road. I feel
Yeah.
like, when you then tell people that I'm in Oxford, they don't go full you understand? So
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
it's very important that people hear these conversations. Kundakatombo boda and God
Mm.
South Africa at 19. That,
Yeah.
that has to be that it's scary, it's daring, and it's tough. It's stuff that greatness is made of. So good on you. So this whole time that you were working as a guard, you were still reaching out to the person who eventually sponsored you.
Yes. So every week I'll send him a message. We laughed about it because I visited him in Leeds a few months ago. And then I'll tell him, do you still remember that I would send message almost every day? So yeah, I would send message to him and until he responded. He said, okay, it's fine. I'm going to sponsor you. So yeah, that's the story.
Why didn't you give up, Fide? I know this is a very unfair question,
Mm,
but I know that the average person does not know how to handle being ignored or rejected well.
mm.
So each time I meet somebody who persists even in the face of seeming rejection, I'm always curious to know, why did you not give up?
Well, so I always tell my friends that we grow up in a village where we didn't have like role models, and every day you'd see people in a situation you wouldn't want to find yourself in, right? And then the only thing I realized back then was just getting that university was like a ticket from poverty to something better, right, for my family. So I couldn't give up, but there was no opportunity to give up. I just have to keep trying. And I remember because I told myself, even if he doesn't respond, even if he responds, said, no, I can't fund you, there's nothing challenging there. Because whether he respond and with a yes or no, it's if it's a positive response, I'm going to gain. If it's a no, it's just a path. I'm going to just save myself and go to use that. Uh, and the issue is, I think that the other issue is I had a lot of friends who gave up and started working in SA. Some of them got married and all those kind of stuff. But I would see their situation, their life, said, no, I wouldn't want to find myself in that situation. So I had to keep trying. I had to try my best. Uh,
Hey, do you know what? I feel like your story is I feel like when I wrote my book, auntie, then
mm,
they talking and they told a dream feeling, auntie. But then when
mm,
I hear somebody else say it out loud, it just solidifies everything that I've always said. It's put yourself in a situation where retreating is not an option. Like you
yeah,
you you cannot give up. Like you cannot. It's giving up
exactly.
is not an
Yeah.
option. And that whole thing, Tekuti Jana, if I fail, it's a lesson. I'll do it myself, but I have to keep trying. I
Mm,
think it's something that many people have to learn. Vanhu vakawanda Fide havagoni kuramba vachienderera kumberi when they face resistance or when they face rejection or when
mm,
when it looks like it's going to be delayed or it's not going to work out. Most people just give up. Most people just throw in the towel and walk away. So it
mm,
takes
mm,
it takes a particular mindset, which I'm glad you're talking about, which I want young people and even older people and everybody listening to us to learn. But you get out of life what you demand. You get out of
exactly.
life what you contend for.
Mm,
And like you said, if you apply and you get a no, you just delete the email and the chat like it never existed. I
mm.
should know a newspaper, but
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
you my scholarship. I should
Uh,
know a newspaper. baka blue tick up or WhatsApp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like many people give up on their dreams prematurely because
Mm.
like you were saying, some of your friends gave up and got married because it seemed
Mm.
like the easier way out. Why should I keep insisting when I can just get married? Why should I keep insisting for this future when I can just do something else? So the
Mm.
fact that you kept going and ultimately it paid off, I feel like it's a powerful, powerful testament. I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you were saying your story and telling it yourself. And oh my God, I'm so happy that you're here. So tell me, how was the transition like? This person finally responds to you.
Mm.
How was it like going back to Zim and then preparing to go to university?
Well, so
Hmm.
he said if I apply to any local university, he's going to pay school fees. But if it's UZ, it's going to give me accommodation. So you have houses in our, so it's going to, oh, you're going to stay with one of my house. So that's good for me because all I wanted was UZ, right? So I applied to UZ and then I got in. I saved enough money for accommodation, and then I thought, okay, let me just stay. At first, I didn't want to stay at campus, because I didn't know much about that. I said, okay, I'm going to stay at his house. Unfortunately, it was Bordeaux, and his younger brother said, it's far away. It will cost you a lot of money. Stay with me. Uh, so I had to stay with his family. That was perfect, So I stayed in Kwazana with his family for the entire semester. So I would go from Kwazana to UZ. Uh, so the transition was I just came from SA straight to UZ in August. So that was it. And then the education started. The difficult part was, back then we didn't have like coming from the village, you don't even know how to use a computer, and you start have to learn from the
Tell me
beginning.
about it. Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
So you had to learn everything from the scratch, and later on you meet people who have dreams like you, which is good, because you become friends and you are all obsessed with education, going to Oxford. Uh, but the sad part, I remember I was telling one of my friends a few weeks ago, because everyone who knew me would tell you that I wanted to go to Oxford. That's the only thing I would talk about almost every day.
Hmm.
Uh, and then they didn't believe it's possible. I said, no, you don't know about Oxford. We're talking about Oxford here.
Hmm.
And the sad part is most of them were actually smarter than me. But here I am right now, and they are now reaching out to me. How did you do it? And then they are now applying. So yeah, that's the story.
Hmm. It's you. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have
Mm,
to be number one. You just have to be the one who wants it the most.
exactly.
The Tony Robbins hunger quotient. Like, how badly do you want it? You know what
Mm.
I mean? And the whole thing about you being obsessed with Oxford, I need people to understand y'all better get ready to get weird for your dreams. Like, if you're going to get something in this life, get ready to go to get weird for it.
Mm,
I always give this illustration, yeah, a biblical story, the Noah story. Could when
mm,
people saw him build an ark, like they were like, "What is this guy doing?" And when you would tell them, "Kuti, it's going to rain," they didn't understand. It he was weird until it started to rain. So
yeah.
sometimes when you're building, people won't even understand or even understand the obsession. Does he even understand Oxford? The acceptance
Mm,
rate. Do you even know kuti kune vana vanenge vakadzidza their whole lives? Vakadzidza from these fancy boarding schools in London. They are trained
mm,
their whole
mm,
lives to go to Oxford. So I think that whole notion of being obsessed and being weird for your dreams, people need
mm,
to learn that. And I'm glad that
yeah.
she symbolized that. Um, how did the application to Oxford go? Like, how did it go? Tell me about that.
The application to Oxford. That's what. So what happened is almost like every weekend I would look at the programs of Oxford since from
Mm.
2019 going forward. And then in 2020, when COVID was like at its highest, and then they introduced this program.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, this is the program for me. So I started to write the personal statement from 2020. Like every month, I would motivate. attend seminars and everything, attend workshops, read around, visit some professors who were doing modeling for infectious diseases, and then they'll look at it until 2023. So that's like 3 years of writing a personal statement. And then after graduation, that was September, I just submitted and then waited for the best. But it was like stressful because it was like a long way of planning, of writing and rewriting, reading and reading. And for me, I didn't even think that I would get Oxford. I just wanted to, for me, like getting an offer was like an achievement. That's what I wanted. It was good enough for me. And yeah, and then after submission, that's when I saw another program at Cambridge. I thought, okay, they look similar. Let me just submit to both universities. Yeah, and then I applied to Cambridge. And, it's so interesting when they invite you for an interview. You said, what? They actually want to see me, Then the preparation begin and the stress and everything. But now you see, this is just one way you are now at Oxford. So I had to start reaching out to people who are here at Oxford. Then they'll give me some guidance in terms of interview preparation. And then it went well. I received both offers, which is good. For me, it was like enough at the beginning. Before you receive offer, you think, oh, when I receive the offer, that's good enough for me. But when you receive, you said, no, now the scholarship, I need to work hard for it. Yeah, so that was the process, overwhelming. Every day you have to read, write, prepare, it's like a court or something. I remember during the interview for Beit, I had to answer questions back and back, here and here. Yeah, but that's it. That's the story. And then I finally got in both universities, both scholarships, and then you have to decide which one to go, which was easy, because Oxford was the dream.
Oh, I think it's I have a question for you, but I'm going to say this before I ask you the question. I'm going to say this to the people that are watching this. Like I know it sounds amazing, and when we say conversations with the dreamers, dream. But I need people to remember that dreaming is not a strategy. Like dreaming is just one part of it. You dream something, you envision it, and you give yourself something to work towards. But actually closing the gap between that dream and where you are now, it's going to take hard work, it's going to take preparation, it's going to take persistence, it's going to take a whole lot of things. So it's not enough for you to move around, say, I'm dreaming. Fidelity took years preparing your personal statement. That's how you work towards your dream. So if you go to I have a dream, what Netflix, what I have a dream. It's not going to work. You have a dream, you envision it, and you work towards it. My question is, why Oxford? Why the obsession with Oxford? Like, how did you obsession in Oxford?
Oxford. So when I arrived in Chiredzi Christian College during high school, I had a friend of mine who was like so obsessed with Oxford. So every time we have a conversation, like during lunchtime, he would give like scenarios, about Oxford. I don't know where he found those things. And then he's now at UJ. Every day he would talk about Oxford. And from there, we all wanted to go to Oxford, both of us. And then I remember we were the only ones. So I had 15 points and he had 14 points. Then there were less than 10 points. And then he got a presidential scholarship to go to UJ. He's been in UJ since then. So yeah, that's where the obsession of Oxford came from. And from there it was Oxford, nothing else.
That's very interesting. The Oxford or nothing else. I think for me, what's interesting is, and I know it's whoever I told the story, they'll either think I'm very bold or they'll think I'm crazy. But for me, I knew that I wanted to go to Oxford. I knew could it have to be Oxford or something else. So when I made my application in 2019, I knew could do like Oxford. So I can apply Oxford. I had no backup plan. I had nothing else. Oxford. I applied for two programs. Oxford. This was Richard, and I was offered both. And I knew could Oxford and didn't left and didn't right, and it's not, we're not, when we say this, we're not prescribing, kuti you should be that way. It's some people always find it easier to have backup plans or to have multiple choices. So when you hear me say I only wanted Oxford and you hear Fidelity say Oxford, we're not saying Oxford is the only school out there.
It's the only school
They're
out there,
saying
yeah.
whatever your passion is, make it an obsession and work hard towards it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
So Fide, what's next for you? What are you looking forward to in the future? What's next for Fidelity?
What's next? I think Oxford, every day you go out, you meet people, they'll ask you the same question, what's next? So you have to answer it probably 10 times per day. Yeah. Honestly, I have no idea. There are so many opportunities here at Oxford. When I came on to do a DPhil meeting, and things changed along the way. Now I just have to take a gap year. That's the plan now, to take a gap year and then come back late. Uh, so I'm not sure if I'm going to come back to Oxford or another university, but there is a possibility of doing a PhD in a few years from now. Yeah, but yeah, there are a lot of opportunities here at Oxford. Because my academic supervisor, she's from Cape Town, so she's wanted me to join here, Kamban, Marsha, and also the supervisors from Singapore, they want me to join their university, those kind of things. So yeah, hopefully the future it's looking amazing right now. Hopefully it will be amazing.
Oh, that's good. When I was still younger and youthful like you, I was saying, do not quit MPhil Oxford, PhD Cambridge, then postdoc Harvard. Life happened.
Life happened.
Life happened.
Yes.
Life happened. But I'm happy for you. I'm happy that there's so many opportunities. I'm happy that so many doors are opening. Keep going, so keep going and utilize every opportunity that you can, make the best out of it. Like live in the place of your dreams. For all the kids in Ndali Village, for everybody you have ever met, do it for everybody. You owe it to them and you owe it to yourself. So Fide, before we wrap up, I always ask this question. What would you tell 10-year-old Fide if you could see him today?
Wow. So first of all, I think the concept of was for when I go, like from high school, I thought I needed to get a degree, probably 2 degrees before I can actually go to Oxford, right? And I feel like almost like everyone being Oxford is not that achievable, or probably Cambridge or any other Ivy Leagues universities. It probably was possible to get to Oxford from high school. Who knows? If I applied, probably I would have been at Oxford a long time ago. So if I would say anything to the younger Fidel, is just to try to actually be curious and then apply earlier enough. It took me more than a decade to get Oxford. Probably I was meant to be at Oxford a long time ago, right? But honestly speaking, I don't wish to change anything. I wouldn't want to change anything because whether I get to see myself 10 years ago, I would be so amazed and so surprised where I am right now. So I'm glad about the challenges I faced along the way because they made me better, right?
And our stories are our testimonies. We inspire people when we live lives that are authentic to us. When we are fully who we are without apologies, that's when we're our best. So own it. And this is the final question. What lessons have you learned and what words are you leaving us with today, to the dreamers watching us, to the young people, like young kids still in school who think I want to go to Oxford one day, or it's somebody who is older thinking I should have done this earlier. What do you have to say to us, drawing from your life lessons and your journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one thing that I live by is the key to success is just humility, right? Always recognizing people who have gone before us and learn from them. Because at the end of the day, their knowledge, skills, and values will eventually aid to us. So people like they're so scared to reach out, so scared to be in a room where they are like the less smartest one, you know. But that's the good thing. I always love that, to be the less smartness, because I get to learn from others. I get to reach out to people. They get to teach me, give their experience to me, and then I add to my value, and then I become a better person. So yeah, uh, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to dream big and dream even bigger.
Y'all, you had that humility. I think I
Mm,
always say, whatever it is you want to do with your life, there is somebody out there who has already done it.
exactly. Yeah.
So have success is predictable because there
Mm,
are so many successful people out there. And if you
yes.
just humble yourself enough to learn, you realize that the path is available and open to everybody. And like you said, y'all, you had it from Fidel himself. Keep dreaming and dream big. Oh my God. Fidel, thank you so much for taking the time, for sitting with me today, and for having this conversation. I am so excited. Thank you so much. And to the subscribers, the viewers, the followers, thank you for your continued support. Don't forget to like the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave comments. Don't forget to share. Let's get the conversations going. Thank you so much. And until next time.
Thank you so much.